What's up? It's George the Fragrance Praise back with the single most original video I think that the Fragcom has ever seen. It's called a For Life video. So I've got these 25 fragrances are for life, and the rest of my collection, for some weird reason, I just toss out and get rid of them. I don't think this has ever been done, personally. I think this is a completely brand new original video style, and maybe, I don't know, like, if you've seen this done before, don't tell me, because you'd be lying, because this is an original idea and nobody's ever done it before. So we're going to start with an honorable mention. This is Victorian Tobacco by Galleria. An amazing fragrance for all of the 5 minutes that it was out. I'm truly upset that this can no longer be purchased. An amazing fragrance. I feel a bit weird mentioning it, and that's why it's an honorable mention, because obviously, you know, this was a Navitas fragrance and they kind of screwed over Ashton and there was a lot of drama behind it and now you can't get it. Yeah, so a very unusual fragrance selection, but I loved it. I loved the chocolate liqueur and it's a very rich and very big kind of fragrance, so kind of upset that it didn't get the props it deserved. Let's go with number 25. This is Prada Amber. I've talked about this quite a lot, but this is a beautiful, soapy, clean fragrance. You've got the amber that kind of warms everything up, but this is truly one of the most cleanest kind of like wet shaving foam fragrances. I think that this is so much superior to Prada L'Homme. I think that this has a lot more texture to it. I think this has a lot more of a masculine, this has a lot more of a metrosexual vibe. L'Homme is trying to make this masculine when it shouldn't have to be completely masculine. An amazing, beautiful fragrance, and I'd highly recommend it for people who enjoy clean fragrances. Okay, number 2, I mentioned this yesterday. This is La Nuit de l'Homme, Yves Saint Laurent. I've really, you know, at one point this would not have been on my list, but I love this fragrance. I think this is an amazing fragrance, and this is so fun. And I said that it's kind of like, there's almost like a pistachio nut in here, like a chocolatey pistachio nut ice cream with cardamom that calms everything down. It's also very clean, has a bit of powderiness, an incredibly sexy and well-rounded fragrance, and I'm just loving it. And I'm wearing this a lot at the moment. This is totally my vibe. It could be yours. If you've smelt this before or you have this in your collection, do me a favor and go and check it out once again. Okay, next one is this. This is Angel Men Pure Malt. I would have to have Pure Malt in my collection. I'm nearly at the end of this. I'm very saddened that this is coming to the end of its life. I'm not actually wearing it that much because I don't want it to go. I don't want it to end. An incredibly cleanly, boozy, warm, tar fragrance that goes very well with the Angel Men DNA. This was an absolute showstopper when it came out. It was truly an amazing revolution in the fragrance world, and it created, sort of gave birth to the whole whiskey, alcohol, fragrance genre that we're into right now. Very hard to get, very sad to see it go. Moving from one whiskey fragrance to another, this is Angel Share by Killian. I would have to have this. There's no way that I wouldn't have this because there's too many good memories that I have associated with Edinburgh. It's whiskey, but you could also say that there's a little bit of Deserrano in here. This almond cake, like maple syrup, Deserrano, almond whiskey smell that's very sweet, that's very interesting and very, very sexy. I would have to have this. This ain't going anywhere. Okay, so next up, I feel that this is one of the most underrated fragrances of all time, especially for its attractiveness and for its sex appeal, and that's A City on Fire by Imaginary Authors. People say that this is just, you know, matchsticks and that's it, but it's not true. The opening is very, very egregious. The opening is aggressive. The opening is like just matchsticks and fire and wood, but I'd actually say that as this goes down, this has got some dark berries, this has got some labdanum, and it makes it sweeter, and it smells like an incensey version of Tobacco Vanille. Okay, that is my hot take. This is an incensey Tobacco Vanille as it dries down, and that's an amazing smell. It's a very, very rugged and sexy smell, and I think that on summer nights, this can really be something interesting and something that people could really appreciate. From one Imaginary Authors to another, Memoirs of a Trespasser. I would have to have Memoirs of a Trespasser. One of the most unique dry vanilla fragrances in the entire game. I've said a couple times, I've said this on a short that I've done recently, where I say that this is like you're eating a vanilla ice cream in a old bookshop. I even have a visual for that. Here it is. You're eating wonderful organic vanilla ice cream, but you're in this bookshop that's old. There's books, there's a fire on, and that dries everything out. That dries all the books out. And the only respite that you get from that dry, woody, papery smell is the vanilla ice cream that you're eating. So unique, so interesting. If you haven't tried Memoirs of a Trespasser, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, going on to another style of vanilla. This is 24 Gold. When this came out, it was amazing. And I've really, really grown slowly to truly appreciate this fragrance. This is an Arabian style vanilla that is westernized. If you 10 years ago, if you smelled fragrances from, the Saudi Arabian countries, they would all smell very similar to this, but this took that DNA, very oudi, very spicy smell, and made it sweeter and made it more palatable for Westerners. A big and bold fragrance that will transport you to the Arabian Nights. Okay, next up is this. This is Lal Elixir. At one point it would have been Lal, but look, you already know how I feel about this. You already know. The earthy lavender is just so immaculate, so interesting. Working with the old school DNA of Lal, but there's a real sweet caramel, chocolatey, kind of like a caramel shell that's in here that is so big and bold. It's a fantastic scent, one of the best designer fragrances that have been released this year, if not maybe the best, but there is another one that I will be buying later on this year, and I'll show you that in my favourite purchases. But an incredible return to form by Jean-Paul Gaultier. This, to me, could actually be the best Lal of all time, including the original. Although Fleur de Mal is pretty freaking epic as well. Okay, talking about best fragrance purchases of this year, this is my latest fragrance obsession. This, look, I don't want to go on too much about this. This is called Into the Wild by, I think, Static, Olfactive. This is the fragrance that you're always asking me for. This is the fragrance where people are like, George, when's something original going to come out? When's something interesting going to come out? I went to Essence this year, and one of the fragrance reviewers, I will not name their name, but they looked at me and they said, everything's been done. Everything has been done. There is nothing new here. There's nothing new that's been released. And you know what? They were right. And I would ask that person to smell this. This is one of the most unique, interesting fragrance releases in I don't know how long. This smells as though you're walking through a pine tree forest in the winter. But there's so much more to it. There's also like grassy elements. There's a little sweetness that keeps everything together. There's also references to like perfumes from the 70s, both men's and women's. It is an old school fragrance. There's also like thyme, rosemary in here. And it's completely wearable. That sounds like a mess and it sounds like a lot. Completely a wearable fragrance. You'll be hearing a lot about this, not just from me, but I know that other fragrance reviewers are starting to get this. So I'm trying to just get in here early. This is going to be one of the most hyped fragrances of 2024. Not in the designer end, because it's not a designer, it's actually not even niche, it's an independent fragrance, completely free-range independent fragrance. One of the most exciting fragrance releases of 2023. 2023 was one hell of a year. Gucci Guilty Elixir for me, that was probably going to be my favourite release of the year, but this may have snagged it. Probably the best fragrance release of the year. Such a unique adventure of a fragrance to take your senses on. Okay, so let's go with Royal Oud now, which is kind of in a similar vein. This is a peppery, woodland kind of smell. Not really any oud in it. This is kind of a peppercorn bomb at the start, but then as it dries down, it turns into one of the most masculine and confident fragrances. I'd need to have this because this puts me into boss mode. This makes me feel truly like a boss. I usually, when I'm directing films, when I directed From Here to There, I was wearing this. When I need to get into big, decisions about my career, about finances, about things like that, things that really matter, I wear Royal Oud. Okay, so next up is this. This is Prada Luna Rossa Carbon, the clean and classy version of Sauvage. I've warmed to Sauvage a little bit. I'm hopefully going to be doing a little sort of mini documentary on Sauvage because there's so much to it that's so interesting. But this is my Sauvage. This is my favourite interpretation of it. So clean. And if you're a fan of Sauvage, which of course, if you're on Earth, that usually means that you are, I would highly recommend that you seek out Prada Luna Rossa Carbon because it gets rid of the metal, it gets rid of all the gunk. It's really interesting. Okay, so next up is this. This is Frappan's 1270, a beautiful bubblegum, pineapple, cognac smell that is perfect for nights out, perfect for people who love kind of like the Aventus DNA, the pineapple Aventus DNA, but they wanted a sort of a night out version. In fact, this is kind of like the Aventus kind of smell with the pineapple meets something like Reflection Man in its sort of vibe, in its night out cool vibe. An amazing, amazing fragrance, especially if you're into pineapple. Okay, next up is Sunset Riot by All Saints. I would have to have this. I'm afraid that it's probably been discontinued, but then I hear that it's not been discontinued, and then it has. It's one of those kinds of fragrances where you just don't know where you are with it, which is so annoying. An amazing, amazing Baccarat Rouge 540 kind of DNA, but with a little bit of pepper. It's got that candy floss smell. It's also got this like peppery thing that really calms everything down. It's also got like a really nice citrusy, just general cologne sandalwood smell at the bottom. It's really a tour de force, and I've been wearing this even in the winter months. Fantastic fragrance. Another recent one is this. In fact, we'll go through my 2 tobacco selections here. This is Tobacola by Christian Dior. This brought tobacco back to where it should have been many, many years ago. It does not rely on vanilla. It relies more sort of on caramel and amber, but the tobacco is just so clear, so precise, and that really comes through, and it's fantastic. It's a very, very well-rounded, beautifully decadent tobacco, one of the highest quality tobacco fragrances in the game right now. I absolutely love it. I have been wearing this a lot. I've already put quite a major dent in it, considering that I have so many fragrances to choose from. I've been choosing that a lot. And of course, my other tobacco fragrance is Tabac by Zaharoff. I would pick this over Tobacco Vanille personally because of the memories that I have with this. Beautiful, reminds me of the Estonian Christmas markets that I went to last year. In fact, this time last year. But this is a more masculine, vibrant, spikier, older version of Tobacco Vanilla. I've said this before, Tobacco Vanilla's got that wonderful, combination of tobacco and vanilla, but it's jolly, it's happy Christmas, Santa Claus man. This is CEO. This is the CEO of Christmas. That's what this is. This is the CEO of Christmas fragrances. An amazing, stylish fragrance that I think that you're going to love. Okay, still got quite a few to get through. Let's talk about these 2 bad boys here. Ombre Leather. Stylish, clean, sexy leather, very straight to the point, very straightforward. There's no mess, there's no fuss, there's no smell. It's just to the point with what it's trying to do. Here, do you want a classic, classy, clean leather fragrance? Well, here's your order, sir. Amazon Prime, baby. Here's your order. Next day delivery, clean leather. Here it is. That's what is so cool about this. It is leather purism. And that's what I describe with this. This is Durhomme. This is iris purism. That's what I think that Durhomme is to me. A perfectly succinct iris fragrance. Creamy, interesting, exciting, to the letter. Durhomme Original. Still one of the greatest fragrances of all time. And still the sex. Do you remember the sex? Anybody remember the sex? Oh my god, do you remember the sex when the sex was here, and the sex was there, and the sex was everywhere? The sex was everywhere! Wasn't the sex here and there and everywhere? Well, this is the sex right there! We now move on to Eau Sauvage Parfum by Christian Dior. I mentioned in a video recently that to me this is sort of, it's the lineage of mankind. It's a sort of a complicated thing for me to say, but to me this is just the it's amazing that I can smell this. This was one of the biggest fragrances in the 50s and the 60s, and so it's like, when I smell this and when I wear this, I feel as I'm a part of history, and what other art form can do that? You can listen to the Beatles and you can watch your favourite film. One of my favourite films of all time is The Time Bandits by Terry Gilliam. I love watching Time Bandits, amazing film, but I can't be there. I can't be there with the Monty Python crew, and I can't be there, shaking John Cleese's hand as he's Robin Hood. I can't do it, but with Eau Sauvage and with fragrances, this is a fragrance from history, and I'm living it. I'm contributing to that history as we go along, and that's the amazing thing about it. You've smelt this kind of fragrance before. This is a classic sandalwood, citrus, fougere, a very stylish, very old school masculine scent. that's truly amazing, and I would highly recommend that if you are a man, you've got to treat yourself and just try that at least once. In a similar vein is this. This is Oranges and Lemons Say the Bells of St. Clements by James Healy. Similar sort of vibe, kind of like Acqua di Parma in a way, with a similar sort of idea of Eau Sauvage, but this is more kind of like a classic citrus cologne that's then volumized by the notes of vetiver. If you're a huge vetiver fan, I would highly recommend checking out Oranges and Lemons Say the Bells of St. Clements, because it's really just a pronounced vetiver with the backdrop of some really, really great high quality and fresh citruses. And this is one that I keep coming back to again and again and again. Amazing. Great house are James Healy. I'd highly recommend that you check them out. Also with Selmaren, that's great. And Arga Wood is a pretty decent one as well. Also, just to tell you that there are only 12 days remaining with my fragrance consultations for December, so I won't be able to do fragrance consultations until at least July. If you want to have a one-on-one chat with me, a one-on-one fragrance consultation with me, then now is the time to do it, because there's only 12 days and I start literally tomorrow. I've got 6 bookings tomorrow, so the fragrance consultations are selling out rather quickly. As I say, there are so many fragrances here. These are my personal favorite fragrances. These are my 25 fragrances for life, but they may not be yours. It's an individual outing, it's fragrances. I can recommend, and all the fragrance reviewers can recommend their favorite fragrances to the moon, but it might be in vain, because at the end of the day, you have a separate taste from us, from me, from Chris, from Michelle, from Andrea, from even Jeremy, from all of us. You should be focusing more on what is your taste, what is it that you want out of fragrances, and I can help you with that. It's still only $57 for the 45 minutes, and there's only 12 days left, and even those are starting to go. So if you want to have a fragrance consultation one-on-one with me, I start tomorrow, and I hope to see you there. Okay, so we're in the final 4 now. This is Yuzu Soda by Strangers. I mean, I have really, I'm at the bottom of the barrel with this one. There is nothing left of this. A wonderful callback to fragrances like Kouros, to fragrances like Brut, back in the day, modernized with a tantalizingly tangy modern lemon citrus in here. This is the best of both worlds. This is that 1970s classic fragrance rebottled with a brilliant and vibrant modern citrus that you can smell just about anywhere, but it's that contrast come together. I could not live without this. It's fantastic. Okay, so now we get to Renier's Oud Rain. I think that in the end, as I've grown up and as I've matured, I actually prefer this to Kiss's Rain. In fact, this is probably my favourite Renier. I remember when I first opened it and I thought, Jesus, that's absolutely amazing. And still to this day, I love it. One of the best ouds that you can wear in the summer. If you're a big oud fan, and you miss your ouds in spring and summer, and you're not a complete sadist in which you want to torture everyone by wearing, the craziest oud fragrances that Michelle recommends from the deep Middle East. If you want something that's actually quite likeable and quite wearable, I would highly recommend Oud Rain by Renier. It is oud and a freshly plucked mango. It is beautiful. The innards of a mango, the juicy innards of a mango, mixed in with the harsh huskiness of oud. Very unique, very interesting. We're nearly done. Hugo Boss, The Scent, Private Accord, wonderful dark chocolate and coffee mixed in with a happy-go-lucky 2010s designer DNA. Think Invictus, think all the different sort of Paco Rabanne fragrances that were released in the 2010s. But, of course, this is Hugo Boss, but that dark chocolate, that dark 70% chocolate, only Lidl's best 70% dark chocolate is in here, and it's absolutely fantastic. And now we come to the final one. It was nearly Burlington 1819. That is not on this list, mostly actually because it's not here. It's not in my flat. I think that, but I felt as though I had to choose between Burlington 1819 and this final fragrance. And in the end, I couldn't live without this. Come on. It literally just puts a smile on my face. It's the best. around. Nobody's gonna tear you down. I don't know the song. It's the best. For me, personally. It's just my opinion. But Millésime Impérial is still, to me, my favourite fragrance. I can't let it die. I know that Milestone by Our Math is better, I know. But I still love this, I still treasure this. I've been wearing this since I was 20. I've been wearing this since I was like 20 years old. I'm now 31. It's been my fragrance. I am the Millésime Impérial guy. Trust me, I did not intend to be the Millésime Impérial guy. That was not intentional. But my love for it is real. My love for it is, you know, unconditional. I have unconditional love for Millésime Impérial, and it is truly the fragrance that I could not live without. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the fragrance consultations with me. Love to talk to you one-to-one. We can have some banter. We can talk about fragrances. I give you a nice little report at the end that explains your taste, explains what you should wear, what you shouldn't wear, what you should go for, what you probably shouldn't go for. Anyway, thank you so much. I'm the Fragrance Apprentice. I'll see you soon. Bye.